Have you ever felt that something was missing when receiving Holy Communion? That even though you approached with faith, the experience wasn't as profound as it could be? You walked back to your pew, made the sign of the cross, but in your heart, it seemed that this sacred encounter could have been deeper, as if you had received something immensely holy, but didn't know what to do with it. You're not alone. Many devout souls spend years attending Mass, receiving communion every Sunday, some even daily, but never truly understanding the magnitude and delicacy of that moment when God enters us. And here's the crucial point. Padre Pio knew this. Padre Pio said that at the moment of Holy Communion, all of heaven opens, angels kneel in silence, and Jesus gives himself completely to the soul who receives him. But there's a detail that many ignore. How you welcome Jesus in that instant determines the depth of grace you receive. It's not enough to simply say, Amen. It's not enough to repeat automatic prayers. According to Padre Pio, you need to say something with a completely open and surrendered heart. You need to speak as someone who recognizes they're receiving the King of the universe, the living God, the crucified and risen Savior. And this is where we enter the most touching teaching of this great saint, the words we should say to the Eucharistic Jesus at the moment of communion. If you believe in Padre Pio's wisdom, write in the comments, Jesus, transform my communion. Your comment will help spread this message to many souls who need to hear it today. Padre Pio himself warned, many receive Jesus as if receiving a sacred object, but he doesn't want to be an object. He wants to be a beloved. In many parishes, we see faithful who receive communion with reverence, but not with intimacy. The gesture is solemn, the head bows, the gaze turns to the altar, but the heart remains locked. Because deep down, the soul still hasn't understood that this small piece of white bread is Jesus himself, with eyes that see you, a heart that listens to you, love that waits for you. Dear friends, if you've been touched by what you've heard so far and wish to deepen your spiritual journey with Padre Pio, we have something special for you. Our ebook, The Spiritual Secrets of St. Padre Pio, contains powerful prayers, reflections based on his teachings, and practical advice to strengthen your spirituality. This resource will help you develop a more intimate relationship with Christ through the wisdom of Padre Pio. It includes rare insights into his mystical experiences and guidance on how to apply his spiritual practices in your everyday life. Click on the link pinned in the comments to discover how this content can transform your spiritual journey. This knowledge has already changed the lives of thousands of faithful people who now experience communion with renewed hearts. Now let's continue with our exploration of Padre Pio's profound teaching about the Holy Communion. And the silent error is this: saying nothing, or speaking with coldness, or speaking out of obligation, as if Jesus were merely part of a ritual. But Padre Pio lived the opposite. He melted before the host. He wept, trembled, became silent, and when he spoke as one standing before God himself. Many of us fall into this pattern without realizing it. We approach the altar focused on the external, the line moving forward, the procedure of receiving, the proper responses, while forgetting the extraordinary reality taking place. This routine approach diminishes what should be the most transformative moment of our spiritual lives. Think about this. The God who created galaxies, who breathed life into existence, who formed your soul with infinite care. This same God makes himself small enough to enter you, and yet how often do we respond with distracted hearts? Consider Maria, a devoted parishioner who attended daily Mass for 20 years. I would receive communion faithfully, she shares, but one day, after hearing about Padre Pio's approach, I realized I had been treating this sacred moment like a transaction instead of an encounter. When I finally began speaking to Jesus with my heart during communion, everything changed. I felt his presence in a way I never had before. Padre Pio often reminded his spiritual children that Jesus comes to us not as a distant deity, but as a lover seeking intimacy. But the problem, he would say, is not that Jesus doesn't speak to souls during communion. The problem is that souls don't listen. It's reported that once a brother at the monastery asked Padre Pio, "Father, what do you say to Jesus after receiving communion?" He smiled humbly and answered, "I say to him, stay with me, Lord. Don't leave me, for if you leave, I am lost." Simple, perhaps, but profoundly true. This phrase summarizes the complete dependence of a soul who loves Jesus above all else. It's the cry of someone who knows that Christ's presence is the only sustenance to prevent falling, sinning, or dying spiritually. And after this, Padre Pio would remain silent, a silence that lasted long minutes, sometimes hours, because he said, after communion, the soul needs to listen and not just speak. Padre Pio didn't give us a fixed manual of words. He gave us a spiritual key. At the moment of communion, speak to Jesus as you would speak to the love of your life, with truth, with tears if necessary, with the desire not to let him depart. Many of us were never taught this approach. We learned prayers and postures, but perhaps no one showed us how to open our hearts at this crucial moment. We were told what to do, but not how to love. We learned the ritual, but missed the relationship. During the Mass, when the priest holds up the host and says, "The body of Christ," our Amen isn't just affirming a theological truth. It's saying, yes, I believe. Yes, I receive. Yes, I surrender. But that single word contains an ocean of meaning that should continue in our hearts as we receive the Eucharist. What happens in that silent moment after receiving? For many, it's a rushed experience. Thoughts wander to the day ahead, to problems at home, to the person singing off-key in the choir. But Padre Pio teaches us that this is precisely when we should be most present, most awake, most alive to the divine presence within us. The saints understood that communion is not just a sacred moment, it's a sacred encounter. Sainte Thérèse of Lisieux described it as heart speaking to heart. Saint Augustine called it the kiss of Christ, and Padre Pio experienced it as nothing less than heaven touching earth. So what are we missing when we receive without this awareness? What graces remain unopened? What healing unclaimed? What transformation unrealized? Simply because we didn't know how to speak to the King who humbled himself to become our bread. This is why the words we speak in that moment matter so profoundly. They are not magic formulas, but rather the expression of a heart that recognizes the magnitude of the gift it has received. They are the beginning of a conversation that can change everything, and it's this conversation that Padre Pio will now teach us through his profound example. There are testimonies from people who attended Mass celebrated by Padre Pio, who said it was as if heaven had descended upon the altar. And do you know why? Because he didn't receive communion out of obligation. He lived that moment as if it were the only one in his life, as if his salvation depended on it. And it did. Have you ever thought about this? That brief moment, when the priest gives you the host and you place it in your mouth or receive it in your hand, could be the instant that changes the course of your soul. That there is the body, blood, soul, and divinity of Christ as the Church teaches us, that there hides the one who died for you, rose for you, and now enters your body with the same love as on the cross. This is why the words at this moment cannot be hollow, nor empty, nor automatic. Padre Pio would often repeat a short and powerful prayer in the silence after communion. Jesus, may I be one with you, and may nothing separate me from you. This prayer, according to accounts from his spiritual children, came from an inner inspiration that the saint said he had received in his visions. It's a prayer of union, of fusion of hearts. Like saying, Lord, if you are in me, may everything in me be yours. And here is the secret. It's not the number of words that changes your communion. It's the truth with which you say them. It's the humility, the surrender, the spiritual hunger with which you welcome Jesus. When Padre Pio celebrated Mass, witnesses report that something extraordinary happened. His face would transform. Sometimes he would tremble or weep. The Mass could last hours because he experienced each moment with such intensity, especially the moment of communion. For him, time seemed to stand still when Jesus entered his heart. One priest who lived with Padre Pio for many years shared this. When Padre Pio received the Eucharist, his face would radiate light. It wasn't just devotion. It was as if he could actually see Christ. And in those moments, he spoke to Jesus not as a distant God, but as his dearest friend, his most beloved companion. What did Padre Pio say in those sacred moments? Besides his famous prayer, "Stay with me, Lord," he taught his spiritual children to speak to Jesus with simplicity and truth. He suggested phrases like, "Jesus, I love you, but teach me to love you more. Stay with me, Lord, even if I forget you tomorrow. Today, I receive you as never before. Transform my heart. Lord, enter me and break everything that doesn't belong to you. Jesus, I am not worthy, but I need you as the air I breathe." These phrases aren't in a book. They're in the soul that has opened itself to love. And that's what Padre Pio lived in every Mass. Many Catholics have never been taught to speak to Jesus during communion. Perhaps they were taught to recite formal prayers, but not how to have a heart-to-heart conversation with the living God who has just entered them. This is where Padre Pio's teaching becomes revolutionary. He shows us that communion is not primarily about ritual, but relationship. Imagine if you invited someone you deeply love into your home, opened the door, and then immediately turned your back and started doing other things. How would they feel? Yet this is often how we treat Jesus in communion. We open the door of our mouth to receive him, and then immediately turn our thoughts elsewhere. Padre Pio would say, when you have received Jesus, it is as if your heart has become a living tabernacle. Would you walk away from a tabernacle without saying anything to the one who dwells there? The saints, throughout history, have understood this profound reality. Saint Thérèse of Lisieux spoke of communion as a fusion of her heart with Christ's. St. Catherine of Siena described it as a marriage between the soul and God, and Padre Pio experienced it as nothing less than heaven touching earth. But here's what makes Padre Pio's teaching so accessible to us. He doesn't demand mystical experiences or extraordinary phenomena. He simply asks us to speak from the heart, to acknowledge the miracle that is happening, to welcome Jesus not as a ritual object, but as a living person who loves us. This doesn't require theological education or spiritual expertise. It requires only honesty and openness. It requires recognizing who it is we are receiving and responding with love. And when we do this, when we finally break through the barrier of routine and truly speak to Jesus in communion, something begins to change. Not just in that moment, but in our entire lives. Because a heart that has learned to welcome Christ fully in communion will begin to recognize his presence everywhere else. This is the transformation that Padre Pio wants for each of us. And it begins with those simple, heartfelt words we speak when Jesus comes to us in the Eucharist. Padre Pio strongly emphasized three things before communion. Frequent confession. A clean soul attracts grace, he would say. This is why Padre Pio spent countless hours in the confessional, sometimes up to 16 hours a day. He understood that to receive Christ worthily, we must first be cleansed of sin. Not because Jesus rejects sinners, but because our sins create barriers that prevent us from fully experiencing his presence. When we approach communion with unconfessed serious sins, it's like inviting someone into a home filled with clutter and filth. Yes, they can enter, but they cannot move freely or be fully welcomed. Confession clears the space of our hearts, making room for Jesus to dwell fully within us. Padre Pio advised his spiritual children to confess regularly, ideally once a week, but at minimum once a month. He would often tell them, "The soul that passes through the cleansing waters of confession shines more brightly in God's eyes than the sun itself." Prayer before Mass. Padre Pio said that those who prepare well receive greater graces. He would arrive at the chapel hours before Mass to prepare his heart. While we may not have hours, we can still set aside some time, even just a few minutes, to prepare ourselves. This preparation isn't about reciting a specific prayer, though traditional prayers before communion can be helpful. Rather, it's about turning our hearts toward what is about to happen. It's about awakening our spiritual hunger and thirst. Try this simple practice. Before Mass begins, close your eyes and silently say, "Lord, prepare my heart to receive you. Help me to recognize your presence and to welcome you with love." This brief moment of intention can completely transform your experience of the Eucharist. Padre Pio would also encourage us to read the scripture readings before Mass if possible. Understanding the Word of God prepares our minds and hearts to receive the Word made flesh in the Eucharist. Silence and recollection after communion. Do not rush out of church. Stay, listen. Jesus is still within you. Padre Pio taught that the moments after receiving communion are among the most precious in our spiritual lives. This is when Jesus is physically present within us in a unique way. Many people make the mistake of thinking that communion ends when they return to their seat. But for Padre Pio, that was just the beginning of the most intimate encounter with Christ. He recommended at least 10 to 15 minutes in silence, in gratitude, listening to what God has to say to us. In today's busy world, this might seem impossible. But even if the Mass ends and you must leave, try to maintain an inner silence and awareness as you go about your day. Remember, Jesus is still with you. The grace of communion continues to work within you long after the host has been consumed. One spiritual director, inspired by Padre Pio, suggested this practice. After receiving communion, imagine your heart as a small chapel where Jesus sits on a throne. Kneel before him in this interior chapel and simply say, "Speak, Lord, for your servant is listening." Then remain in silence, allowing him to speak to your heart. These three practices, confession, prayer before Mass, and silence after communion, formed the foundation of Padre Pio's Eucharistic spirituality. They create the perfect conditions for a transformative encounter with Christ. But there's something important to understand. These practices aren't meant to be burdensome obligations. They're gifts, opportunities to open ourselves more fully to the immense love God offers us in the Eucharist. As Padre Pio would say, these aren't rules to follow. They're keys that unlock treasures. Perhaps you haven't thought much about how you approach communion. Perhaps your experiences have been rushed, distracted, routine. But today, Jesus offers you a new opportunity, and Padre Pio shows you a new path. Imagine if every communion from now on became a true encounter with the living God. Imagine if those brief moments transformed not just your Sunday, but your entire life. This is what Padre Pio experienced and what he wants for each of us. As we prepare to conclude, let's look at how we can implement these teachings the very next time we receive Jesus in the Eucharist. So the next time you approach the altar, do so with a heart full of faith and say as you receive Jesus, "My Lord and my God, I don't deserve you, but I desperately need you. Enter, take control, and never leave." Say this with closed eyes, with an open soul, with a burning heart, and afterward be silent, because in that moment, God Himself will be speaking to you from within. Imagine what would happen if you approached communion this way tomorrow, not as a ritual you've performed countless times, but as if it were your first communion, your last communion, your only communion. Elizabeth, a woman who began applying Padre Pio's teachings, shares, "For decades, I received communion mechanically. Then I learned to speak to Jesus from my heart at that sacred moment. Within weeks, I noticed a profound change. My anxieties diminished, my capacity for love expanded. It wasn't just my prayer life that transformed, it was my entire life. All because I started treating Jesus in the Eucharist as a living person rather than a sacred symbol." This transformation is available to each of us. It doesn't require extraordinary holiness or deep theological knowledge. It requires only sincerity and openness, a willingness to step beyond routine into relationship. Padre Pio believed that a single communion, received with perfect love, could transform a soul more profoundly than years of spiritual exercises. He would often tell his spiritual children, "One moment of true union with Jesus in the Eucharist is worth more than all the treasures of the world." But what exactly changes when we begin to communicate with Jesus in this intimate way during communion? According to Padre Pio, everything changes, slowly but surely. Our resistance to grace diminishes, our spiritual blindness begins to heal, our capacity for divine love expands, and most importantly, we begin to recognize Christ's presence, not just in the Eucharist, but everywhere in our lives. The challenge, of course, is consistency. It's easy to have one profound communion experience and then fall back into old habits. This is why Padre Pio encouraged his spiritual children to make a firm resolution: never receive Christ routinely again. To help with this, he suggested keeping a small notebook where you write one sentence after each Mass, a brief reflection on how you spoke to Jesus during communion that day. As we conclude, I invite you to make this teaching practical. At your next Mass, before approaching the altar, quietly say to yourself, "This is not just bread. This is Jesus, who loves me and gave his life for me. I will speak to him heart to heart." Then when you receive the host, use one of the phrases we've discussed, or speak to Jesus in your own words. Afterward, remain in silence for at least a few moments, listening more than speaking. This small change in approach can begin a profound transformation in your spiritual life. As Padre Pio promised, the soul that learns to converse with Jesus in communion will never be the same. If this message has touched your heart today, I invite you to share it with others. Write in the comments, "I will receive Jesus with a new heart," and share this video with someone who might need this teaching. Remember that your support allows us to continue spreading these spiritual treasures. Please like this video, subscribe to our channel, and consider becoming a member of our spiritual family. Let me leave you with Padre Pio's own words. When you approach the tabernacle, remember that he has been waiting for you for 20 centuries. Jesus waits for you with the same longing today. He waits not just to be received, but to be welcomed. Not just to be adored, but to be loved. Not just to be present in your body, but to transform your soul. May your next communion be the beginning of a new journey, a journey of deeper intimacy with Christ, inspired by the profound example of Saint Padre Pio. And may the words you speak in that sacred moment open your heart to receive all the grace that Jesus longs to give you. Go in peace, knowing that the next time you receive communion, heaven itself will be watching, angels will be adoring, and Jesus will be listening for the words of your heart. Have you ever walked into a home and felt an overwhelming sense of peace, almost supernatural, as if something invisible was protecting it? And in other homes, have you felt a heavy atmosphere, as if a dark force was pressing down on the place? This isn't your imagination. It's a spiritual sign, a warning, and Father Pio explained it clearly. The crucifix is the key to divine protection, but only when used correctly. Today, I want to share with you a powerful revelation from Father Pio, something very few people know, but that can completely transform your home, your family, and even your spiritual destiny. Get ready, because what you're about to discover isn't common devotion. It's a sacred teaching that can open the doors of heaven over your house, or leave it exposed if you ignore it. Many people have a crucifix hanging in their home. They placed it there because someone told them it was good, because it looks nice or out of habit. But according to Father Pio, that's not enough. The enemy doesn't fear the object, but the power that object activates when used with faith, he said. A crucifix is not a decoration. It's not a talisman. It's a spiritual tool of power that needs to be placed, treated, and activated correctly. When present and alive in the heart of the home, Father Pio taught that the crucifix acts as a constant source of grace, activating 3 immediate spiritual effects. First, Spiritual protection. It creates an invisible barrier against enemy attacks, nightmares, arguments, tensions, and spiritual illnesses. Second, inner and physical healing. Looking at the crucifix and praying before it with sincere faith opens a healing channel that touches body, mind, and soul. Third, transformation of the environment. Places where there were fights become filled with peace. Areas of scarcity open to abundance. Broken family relationships begin to restore. But attention, many Catholics have crucifixes, but feel no change, no protection, no peace. Why? Because they commit one or more of the 7 serious mistakes that Father Pio constantly warned about. In a moment, I'll reveal each one so you can check if you're making them in your own home. If you believe in the power of Father Pio's teachings, write in the comments, Father Pio, protect my home. This simple act of faith can be the first step toward activating spiritual protection in your life. Before we continue with these powerful revelations, I want to let you know that we've prepared a special ebook called The Spiritual Secrets of Father Pio. This book contains powerful prayers, reflections based on his teachings, and practical advice to strengthen your spirituality. It's the perfect companion to today's teachings about the crucifix. You'll find the link in the comments below. Now let's continue with the first critical mistake that might be blocking divine protection in your home. A crucifix isn't just a religious symbol. It's not just a piece of wood or metal shaped into a sacred form. According to Father Pio, it's a living connection to heaven, a spiritual antenna that transmits grace and protection into your home. When properly used, it becomes a powerful spiritual tool that transforms the atmosphere around you. Father Pio often said, the crucifix is not just a reminder of Christ's love, but a channel through which his power flows. He described it as a spiritual shield, not because of the object itself, but because of what it represents and activates when approached with true faith. In his many years of spiritual ministry, Father Pio witnessed thousands of cases where a properly honored crucifix completely transformed homes and lives. The true power of the crucifix manifests in 3 remarkable spiritual effects in your home. First, it creates a shield of divine protection. Father Pio explained that angels gather where the crucifix is honored, creating an invisible barrier against spiritual attacks. This protection extends to nightmares, unexplained fears, tensions between family members, and even certain physical ailments with spiritual roots. The second effect is inner and physical healing. When we gaze upon the crucifix with faith, contemplating Christ's sacrifice, a healing connection forms. Father Pio taught that looking at the crucifix with devotion is like opening a direct channel to divine healing energy. This isn't just spiritual poetry. It's a practical reality experienced by countless faithful who have followed his teachings. The third effect is environmental transformation. Have you noticed how some places feel heavy, while others feel light and peaceful? The crucifix, when properly activated, transforms the spiritual atmosphere of your home. Areas once filled with arguments become peaceful. Places of financial struggle open to abundance. Family wounds begin to heal. As Father Pio said, where the crucifix reigns, darkness cannot dwell. John from Boston experienced this transformation firsthand. His family had been experiencing constant arguments, sleep disturbances, and a general sense of heaviness in their home. After learning about Father Pio's teachings, he properly blessed a crucifix, placed it strategically in his home, and began a daily practice of acknowledgement and prayer. Within weeks, the atmosphere changed dramatically. It was like someone had lifted a dark cloud from our home, he reported. Do we all sleep better, argue less, and there's a tangible sense of peace that wasn't there before. But here's the crucial truth Father Pio emphasized. Simply having a crucifix isn't enough. Many Catholics have crucifixes in their homes, but experience none of these powerful effects. Why? Because the crucifix, like any spiritual tool, must be used correctly to activate its power. Father Pio compared it to a powerful medicine taken incorrectly. It won't heal unless used as directed. Many people unknowingly block the power of the crucifix through common mistakes. These errors don't just render the crucifix inactive, they can actually leave spiritual doors open that should remain closed. In my years of ministry, I've seen how correcting these mistakes transforms homes almost overnight. The 7 serious errors Father Pio warned about are critical to understand if you want true protection for your family. In the next section, I'll reveal each one, so you can examine whether you've been unintentionally blocking spiritual protection in your own home. Remember, this isn't about superstition. It's about activating a genuine spiritual connection that Christ made available through his sacrifice, a connection that Father Pio understood deeply and taught with precision. Father Pio identified 7 critical errors that prevent the crucifix from fulfilling its divine purpose in your home. Understanding these mistakes is essential for activating true spiritual protection. The first mistake is using the crucifix as mere decoration. Many homes have beautiful crucifixes covered in dust, forgotten on a wall, or placed without intention. Father Pio warned that a crucifix treated as just another household object loses its spiritual power. The crucifix demands reverence, acknowledgement, and daily interaction. It's not the beauty or value of the object that matters, but the faith with which you honor it. The second mistake is placing it in incorrect locations. Hiding your crucifix on a high shelf where no one can see it, or in a rarely used room, prevents it from fulfilling its spiritual mission. Father Pio taught that the crucifix should be visible in areas where family life happens, where it can actively influence the spiritual atmosphere of daily activities. The third mistake is failing to have it blessed. Father Pio emphasized that a crucifix without a proper blessing is like a sword without an edge. Only a blessing performed by a priest activates its full sacramental power. This blessing connects the physical object to its spiritual purpose, making it a true instrument of grace. Many people hang crucifixes that have never received this essential blessing. The fourth mistake is lack of genuine faith. You might have a beautiful crucifix, perhaps made of silver or hand-carved, but if you don't believe in what it represents, it won't serve its purpose. Father Pio explained that the power doesn't come from the object itself, but from the faith that activates the divine presence it represents. Without this living faith, even the most expensive crucifix remains spiritually dormant. The fifth mistake is daily disconnection. Walking past the crucifix without looking at it, never praying before it, never making the sign of the cross. These habits weaken its spiritual influence. Father Pio taught that each acknowledgement of the crucifix, even a brief glance or gesture, strengthens its protective power in your home. These small acts of devotion accumulate, creating a fortress of spiritual protection. The sixth mistake is keeping it in poor condition. A broken, rusty, or crooked crucifix symbolizes neglected faith. Father Pio advised replacing damaged crucifixes respectfully, treating them with the dignity they deserve. If your crucifix is damaged, don't simply throw it away. Instead, bring it to your parish priest who can dispose of it properly according to church tradition. The seventh and most dangerous mistake is mixing it with esoteric objects. Never place your crucifix alongside amulets, strange symbols, or superstitious items. Father Pio warned that this creates spiritual confusion and weakens the crucifix's power. Its power is unique and needs no reinforcement from human inventions or other spiritual traditions. Elizabeth from Chicago made several of these mistakes without realizing it. Her home had a beautiful crucifix passed down through generations, but it hung in a dark hallway, rarely noticed or acknowledged. Her family experienced unexplained illnesses, constant arguments, and financial struggles. After learning about Father Pio's teachings, she had the crucifix blessed, moved it to their living room, and started a daily practice of acknowledgement. The change was dramatic, she shared. Within weeks, our home felt lighter. The constant tension between family members began to dissolve. We all sleep better now, and there's a sense of peace we haven't felt in years. These mistakes might seem small, but Father Pio explained that spiritual laws are precise. Just as physical laws like gravity operate whether we acknowledge them or not, spiritual laws govern the invisible realm that affects our daily lives. The proper use of the crucifix aligns your home with divine protection according to these spiritual principles. The good news is that correcting these mistakes is simple. You don't need special knowledge or complex rituals, just understanding and sincerity. By avoiding these 7 errors, you open your home to the full protective and healing power the crucifix was meant to provide. Father Pio often said, "The protection of heaven is available to all who sincerely seek it." The crucifix, when properly honored, becomes a powerful conductor of this protection. It transforms your home into a sanctuary of peace, healing, and divine presence. Now that you understand the mistakes to avoid, the next crucial step is knowing where to place your crucifix for maximum spiritual effect. Father Pio identified 5 strategic locations in your home that create what he called a spiritual blueprint of protection. In the next section, I'll reveal these powerful placement points that can transform your home's spiritual atmosphere almost overnight. Father Pio revealed that there are 5 strategic locations where the crucifix works with the greatest spiritual power. Placing crucifixes in these specific areas creates what he called a spiritual blueprint of protection for your entire home. Each location serves a distinct spiritual purpose, forming a complete shield of divine grace. The first strategic location is the main entrance of your home. Father Pio emphasized that the crucifix at your entrance acts as a spiritual filter, protecting the doorway through which people and energies enter your space. This placement creates an invisible threshold of protection, allowing blessings to enter while blocking negative influences. Ideally, place it above or beside your main door, where it's visible to everyone who enters. The second powerful location is the master bedroom. The crucifix here protects your spiritual rest and dreams. Father Pio taught that many spiritual attacks occur during sleep, when our conscious defenses are lowered. A crucifix facing your bed creates a shield of protection during these vulnerable hours. It should be positioned where you can see it from your bed, ideally on the wall opposite, so it's the first thing you see upon waking and the last before sleeping. The third crucial placement is in your living room or family gathering area. This space represents the heart of family relationships, where conversations happen and bonds are formed or broken. Father Pio explained that a crucifix here harmonizes words, attitudes, and even visitors who enter this central space. It should be positioned prominently, where everyone in the room can see it, creating a constant reminder of Christ's presence in your family interactions. The fourth strategic location is your kitchen. This might surprise many, but Father Pio specifically mentioned the importance of blessing the place where nourishment is prepared. He taught that where sustenance is prepared, heaven should be invoked. The kitchen crucifix blesses your food and invites abundance. It creates a spiritual connection between physical nourishment and spiritual sustenance. Place it where it's visible during food preparation, creating a natural opportunity for thanksgiving. The fifth location is your prayer corner or home altar. Here, the crucifix amplifies the power of your supplications, tears, and gratitude. Father Pio described this placement as creating a focal point of grace in your home, a designated space where heaven and earth meet with particular intensity. This doesn't need to be elaborate. Even a simple shelf or small table with your crucifix, perhaps accompanied by a candle and prayer book, establishes this powerful spiritual anchor. Where the crucifix is, there is Christ's gaze. Where his gaze is, there is power, Father Pio often said. These 5 placements aren't arbitrary. They're based on spiritual principles that Father Pio observed throughout his ministry. Together, they create a complete circuit of protection, covering the most important aspects of family life: entrance, rest, relationships, nourishment, and prayer. By strategically placing blessed crucifixes in these 5 locations, you're not just decorating, you're creating what Father Pio called a divine architecture in your home. This arrangement establishes a spiritual foundation that transforms your physical dwelling into a sanctuary of grace. But having crucifixes properly placed is only the beginning. Next, I'll share Father Pio's method for activating their power. Simple daily practices that transform these sacred objects from passive symbols into active channels of divine protection. These practical steps will help you experience the full blessing that comes from properly honoring the crucifix in your home. Simply hanging crucifixes isn't enough. Father Pio taught a specific method to transform them from passive symbols into active channels of divine power. This method involves intentional actions that activate their spiritual potential in your home. First, have your crucifix blessed. Father Pio considered this step essential. Take your crucifix to your parish or ask a priest to bless it with holy water. This sacred blessing initiates the object into its divine purpose. An unblessed crucifix, according to Father Pio, lacks its full spiritual authority. Next, place it at eye level. The crucifix should be visible, not hidden away. Father Pio taught that its placement should invite interaction and acknowledgement. If possible, orient it toward the east, symbol of the rising sun and the risen Christ, though this isn't essential if impractical in your home's layout. Make the sign of the cross each time you pass before it, even if it's just for a moment. This gesture activates what Father Pio called an invisible connection. This simple act reinforces the spiritual shield around your home with each repetition. Over time, these small gestures accumulate into a powerful protective force. Father Pio recommended praying before the crucifix at 3 p.m. or 3 a.m. He taught that during these hours, representing Christ's crucifixion, the veil between heaven and earth is thinner. Even a brief prayer during these times carries special power. If you can't pray at exactly these times, any consistent daily prayer before the crucifix still activates its protection. Light a candle when troubles arise. A light before the crucifix is what Father Pio called a silent supplication that attracts special protection. This simple act creates a physical representation of your faith seeking divine intervention. The combination of light and the crucifix creates a powerful spiritual focus during challenging times. Father Pio taught several daily practices to maintain this active protection. Begin your day by greeting the crucifix, saying, "Jesus, I trust in you. Bless my day and my family." Make the sign of the cross when passing before it. Pray briefly at 3 p.m. if possible. Consecrate your thoughts to Christ before sleeping. Gather your family once a week before the crucifix to pray together. Light a candle during moments of tension. Thank God for each blessing before the crucifix. Teach your children to say good morning and good night to it. Once a month, clean it respectfully with a clean cloth while saying a prayer renewing your faith. These practices aren't complex rituals, but simple acts of recognition and faith. They maintain an active relationship with what the crucifix represents, Christ's redemptive presence in your home. According to Father Pio, consistency in these small acts is more powerful than occasional elaborate devotions. The changes you'll experience often begin subtly. Perhaps you'll sleep better or feel more peaceful. There may be less tension at home. Over time, these effects deepen. Children become calmer, health improves, problems seem to find solutions, and faith grows. Father Pio said, transformation begins when the soul turns to the cross with sincerity. The crucifix doesn't just change environments, it changes hearts and destinies. This method doesn't require special talents or extensive theological knowledge. It simply requires sincere faith and consistent practice. By following these steps, you activate what Father Pio called the dormant power of the crucifix in your home. This isn't superstition, but a practical application of spiritual principles that have been proven effective throughout centuries of Christian tradition. In the next section, I'll describe the specific fruits and signs that indicate your home is experiencing the full protection that comes from properly honoring the crucifix. These manifestations will help you recognize the transformation occurring in your spiritual environment. As you implement Father Pio's teachings about the crucifix in your home, certain fruits and signs will begin to manifest. These changes signal that the spiritual protection is active and working in your environment. The first signs are often subtle atmospheric changes. Many people report that the home simply feels lighter, as if an invisible weight has been lifted. Rooms that once felt oppressive or heavy suddenly feel more open and peaceful. This change in atmosphere is one of the earliest indicators that the spiritual protection is beginning to work. Family dynamics typically show the next signs of transformation. Arguments become less frequent and less intense. Family members find themselves more patient with one another. Small irritations that once sparked conflicts seem to dissolve more easily. As Father Pio explained, when Christ's presence is honored through the crucifix, hearts naturally soften toward one another. Sleep patterns often improve significantly. Many people report deeper, more restful sleep with fewer disturbances and nightmares. Children who struggled with night fears find themselves sleeping peacefully. This is because, as Father Pio taught, the crucifix creates a protective shield during our most vulnerable hours of unconsciousness. Prayer begins to feel different, more connected and powerful. Many experience a newfound depth in their spiritual life. Prayers seem more focused, more heartfelt, and sometimes even more quickly answered. This is what Father Pio described as the thinning of the veil between heaven and earth that occurs when the crucifix is properly honored. Physical well-being often improves. While the crucifix is not a replacement for medical care, many report fewer minor illnesses and a general sense of improved health. Father Pio explained this as the natural result of reduced spiritual and emotional stress in the protected environment. Relationships outside the family may improve as visitors comment on the peaceful atmosphere. Some even notice unexpected opportunities arising, job offers, financial improvements, or resolved conflicts that seemed impossible before. These fruits aren't magical or instantaneous. They unfold gradually as the spiritual atmosphere of your home transforms. Some changes may appear within days, while deeper transformations develop over weeks or months of consistent practice. Father Pio assured that these changes aren't coincidental, but the natural result of aligning your home with divine protection. The crucifix doesn't create new blessings. It removes the obstacles that have been blocking the blessings already intended for you. In our final section, I'll share a powerful prayer of consecration and give you practical next steps to implement these teachings in your own home. Lord Jesus crucified, today I consecrate my home to your holy cross. May your blessed blood be our shield. May your peace be our atmosphere. May your light dispel every shadow. Look with compassion upon my family. Bless our doors, our words, our decisions. And may every corner of this house breathe your presence. We ask this through your redeeming love. Amen. Dear soul who has read this far, you now hold powerful knowledge in your hands. Don't let this seed fall on barren ground. Act. Examine the crucifix in your home. Is it blessed, visible, respected? If you don't have one yet, obtain one today. Apply the practices you've learned. Begin to see your home with spiritual eyes, because the battle isn't always visible, but the protection can certainly be felt. Father Pio taught us that spiritual transformation doesn't happen by accident. It requires intention, faith, and action. The changes you're seeking in your home environment begin with these simple steps we've discussed. Remember that a crucifix honored with sincere faith becomes a powerful channel of grace that transforms not just your physical space, but the hearts and minds within it. Start today with even the smallest step. Have your crucifix blessed if it hasn't been. Move it to a more prominent position where family members will see it regularly. Begin the practice of acknowledging it when you pass by. These simple actions set in motion powerful spiritual forces that Father Pio witnessed, transforming countless lives throughout his ministry. The world today is filled with challenges and negative influences that seek to enter our homes. The properly activated crucifix creates what Father Pio called a divine filter, allowing blessings to flow in while blocking harmful influences at the threshold. This protection becomes increasingly important in times of uncertainty and spiritual confusion. If this teaching has touched your heart, leave a simple thank you in the comments. This small act of faith, your little testimony, can help many other souls hear this message. By engaging with this community of light, you strengthen not only your own spiritual journey, but support others seeking the same protection and peace for their families. Remember, even one crucifix, honored with faith, can bring miracles where there was once chaos. The transformation may begin subtly, perhaps with better sleep or fewer arguments, but over time, the effects deepen and expand to every area of life. As Father Pio observed in countless homes, where Christ is honored, darkness cannot remain. Thank you for watching this video. If you found value in these teachings, please help us continue sharing Father Pio's wisdom by liking, sharing, and becoming a member of this channel. Your support allows us to spread faith and Father Pio's teachings to those who need them most. We're on this spiritual journey together, and as Father Pio said, the crucifix is the key that opens the doors of heaven's protection. May it never be missing from your home, nor from your heart. If you have a crucifix before you right now, place your hand upon it, close your eyes for a moment, feel the weight of the cross. That is the weight that Christ carried for you. Whisper softly, Jesus, may this cross protect my home. May your presence live here every day. Picture yourself standing at the gates of eternity. What would you give to know, with absolute certainty, that you're not facing that moment alone? What if I told you that July 16th holds the key to that very promise? Today, I'm going to reveal something that could transform not just your spiritual life, but your eternal destiny itself. July 16th is the feast day of Our Lady of Mount Carmel, and on this sacred day, the Mother of God opens her heart in a way that's unlike any other time of the year. She listens with special tenderness to the prayers of her children who approach her with faith. Consider this. There are 3 specific things you can do on this holy day to receive extraordinary graces, protect your family, and prepare yourself for the most important moment of your life, the day you stand before God. If you have faith in Our Lady of Mount Carmel, write in the comments, Our Lady of Mount Carmel, protect me with your scapular. Your act of faith helps this message reach more souls who desperately need this protection. Stay with me until the end. Why? Because the third thing I'm going to share with you is the most forgotten by Catholics today, yet it's the one that can bring the most abundant blessings upon you and everyone you love. We're not talking about tradition for tradition's sake. We're talking about accessing supernatural protection that has been promised by heaven itself. Our Lady of Mount Carmel stands apart from other Marian devotions. When she appeared to St. Simon Stock in 1251, she made a promise that echoes through eternity. Whoever dies wearing this scapular shall not suffer eternal fire. Take a moment to absorb that. The Mother of God herself guaranteed protection from hell for those who honor her through this devotion. This July 16th, you have the opportunity to claim that promise and so much more. The 3 things I'm about to share aren't complicated rituals or expensive ceremonies. They're simple, profound acts that any faithful Catholic can perform, yet they carry the power to change everything. They can bring healing to your family, protection to your home, peace to your soul. Most importantly, they can ensure that when your time on earth is finished, you won't face that final moment alone. Are you ready to discover these 3 powerful practices that Our Lady of Mount Carmel is waiting to bless? Let's begin this journey together. Transport yourself to the year 1251. A holy priest named Simon Stock kneels in desperate prayer. The Carmelite order faces persecution and difficulties that seem insurmountable. In that moment of profound need, something miraculous unfolds. The air fills with a heavenly fragrance. Before him appears the most beautiful woman he has ever seen, Our Lady herself. In her hands, she holds a brown scapular, two small pieces of cloth connected by strings, but this isn't mere fabric. Heaven itself has crafted an answer to every human fear, every worry about salvation, every concern about eternal security. She speaks words that have given hope to millions. Take this scapular. Whoever dies wearing it shall not suffer eternal fire. It shall be a sign of salvation, a protection in danger, and a pledge of peace and of the covenant. That moment changed everything. From that day forward, the brown scapular of Our Lady of Mount Carmel became one of the most powerful sacramentals in the Catholic Church. Saints have worn it. Popes have promoted it. Countless souls have been saved through its intercession. Think about what moves me most about this story. Mary didn't choose a king or a powerful nobleman to receive this gift. She chose a simple priest who was struggling, who needed help, who felt overwhelmed by life's challenges. Sound familiar? That's because this promise wasn't made for perfect people. It was made for people exactly like you and me. St. Simon Stock understood something profound. This wasn't simply about wearing a piece of cloth. This was about entering into a covenant relationship with the Mother of God herself. When you put on that scapular, you're declaring, Mary, I trust you to guide me to your Son. I trust you to protect me in this life and lead me safely to the next. The feast day of July the 16th commemorates this incredible gift to humanity. It's the day when heaven and earth touched in a special way. When a mother's love provided a lifeline for her struggling children. That's why this day carries such special power. Throughout history, those who have honored Our Lady of Mount Carmel on her feast day have experienced remarkable graces. Families have been healed, addictions broken, financial troubles resolved. Most importantly, hearts have been converted, not because Mary is magic, but because she's a mother who knows exactly how to bring her children closer to Jesus. Today, as we prepare to explore these three powerful practices for July 16th, remember something crucial. You're not simply learning about a devotion. You're discovering how to activate a promise that was made in heaven specifically for you. Our Lady of Mount Carmel is waiting to pour out her blessings upon your life. All she asks is that you approach her with the simple faith of a child who trusts their mother completely. The question isn't whether these graces are available. They absolutely are. The real question is this: will you take the steps necessary to receive them? The first and most essential thing you must do on July 16th is attend Holy Mass and receive Holy Communion in honor of Our Lady of Mount Carmel. I know what some of you might be thinking. I go to Mass every Sunday. What makes this different? Allow me to explain exactly what makes this different, and why missing Mass on this day could mean missing out on graces you'll never have the chance to receive again. July 16th transcends being just another date on the calendar. It's the great solemnity of the Mother who promised salvation to those who honor her. When you attend Mass on this feast day, you're stepping beyond fulfilling your Sunday obligation. You're entering into the very heart of Mary's greatest promise to humanity. Consider this beautiful reality. You're positioning yourself to receive graces that flow specifically through her maternal intercession on this sacred day. The truth is, something extraordinary happens when you receive Holy Communion on July 16th. You're receiving Jesus through the hands of Mary on the very day that celebrates her role as our spiritual mother. It's like receiving a gift from your child, delivered personally by your own mother. The love, the care, the personal attention, it's all magnified beyond what we can comprehend. When you approach the altar that day, make this your prayer. Jesus, Through the hands of your mother, Mary of Mount Carmel, I ask for the grace to persevere in faith, to die in your grace, and to be led safely to heaven under the protective mantle of your mother. This prayer aligns your heart with the very purpose of the Carmelite promise. But there's more. Offer your communion for your family members, especially those who have drifted away from the faith. Our Lady of Mount Carmel has a special tenderness for families in crisis, for children who have lost their way, for spouses who seem unreachable. When you unite your communion with her maternal heart on her feast day, you're creating a spiritual bridge that can reach even the most hardened hearts. If you want to deepen your relationship with Mary and experience the power of the Rosary in a completely new way, I have something special for you. We've created The Power of the Rosary with Padre Pio, Miracles, Protection, and Divine Graces. This spiritual treasure will help you learn to pray the Rosary with greater devotion and depth, discover the miracles and testimonies of those who have experienced its power, and receive a 30-day prayer guide with daily intentions to strengthen your faith. The Rosary was Padre Pio's great weapon, and today it can be yours too. To download this transformative guide, simply click the link pinned in the comments. Many people go through the motions of attending Mass without truly understanding the supernatural transaction taking place. On July 16th, something special occurs. Our Lady of Mount Carmel becomes particularly active in presenting the prayers and sacrifices of her children to Jesus. She takes your Mass attendance, your communion, your prayers, and she presents them to her Son with a mother's special pleading. Think about this profound reality. Every saint who ever lived understood that the Eucharist is the source and summit of our faith. When you combine the power of the Eucharist with the special intercession of Our Lady of Mount Carmel on her feast day, you're accessing a level of spiritual protection and grace that most people never experience. Can you imagine letting July 16th pass by like any ordinary day, allowing work, errands, or entertainment to keep you from this appointment with heaven? Many people spend years praying for breakthroughs, for healing, for conversion of loved ones. They never realize that some graces are only available on specific days through specific devotions. If there's a Mass available in your area on July 16th, move heaven and earth to be there. If you're traveling, find a church wherever you are. If you're sick, unite your suffering with the Mass and make a spiritual communion. Our Lady of Mount Carmel doesn't miss a single gesture of love and devotion made in her honor. This is your invitation to step into something extraordinary. This is your chance to claim the promises of heaven through the most powerful prayer the Church has, the holy sacrifice of the Mass, offered in union with the Mother of God on her special day. The second essential thing you must do on July 16th is have your scapular of Mount Carmel blessed or renewed. If you don't have one yet, this is the perfect day to receive this incredible gift from heaven. But I need to be crystal clear about something. The scapular transcends being just a piece of religious jewelry. It's not a good luck charm or a spiritual accessory. It's a sacramental with supernatural power, a visible sign of your consecration to Mary, and a guarantee of her protection in life, and especially at the hour of death. The truth is that many Catholics don't understand this. You can't simply buy a scapular online and put it on yourself. To receive the full benefits of Our Lady's promise, the scapular must be properly imposed by a priest. This isn't merely a church rule. It's how you become enrolled in the promise of Mount Carmel. When a priest places that scapular around your neck for the first time and says the blessing, something spiritual happens. You're wearing more than cloth. You're wearing heaven's protection, already have a scapular. July 16th is the perfect day to have it blessed again and to renew your commitment to Our Lady. Find a priest after Mass and say, "Father, could you please bless my scapular and help me renew my consecration to Our Lady of Mount Carmel?" Then, with confidence, tell Mary, My Mother of Mount Carmel, today I renew my consecration to you. Protect me always and come for me at the hour of my death. What I'm about to share will amaze you about the power of this devotion. Saint Padre Pio, one of the greatest saints of modern times, never removed his scapular of Mount Carmel. When he died, they found it under his Franciscan habit. This man bore the wounds of Christ in his own body. He could read souls and perform miracles, yet he considered the scapular essential to his spiritual life. Padre Pio used to tell people, make sure you always wear the scapular of Mount Carmel. It's a sign of salvation, protection in dangers, a promise of peace and eternal salvation. If this great saint considered it so important, why wouldn't we do the same? Consider the deeper truth about the scapular. It's not magic. It's a covenant. When you wear it faithfully, you're saying to Mary, I trust you to guide my life. I trust you to help me live like your son. I trust you to be with me when I die. Mary responds to that trust with maternal love and protection that never fails. The promises attached to the scapular are extraordinary. First, there's the original promise. Whoever dies wearing it shall not suffer eternal fire. But there's also what's called the Sabbatine privilege, the promise that Mary will come to free her devoted children from purgatory as soon as possible, especially on Saturdays. Now, some people ask, does this mean I can live however I want as long as I wear the scapular? Absolutely not. The scapular is a sign of dedication to Christian living. It's a reminder to pray, to avoid sin, and to live in a way worthy of the Mother of God. It's not a free pass to sin. It's a call to holiness. When you put on that scapular or have it blessed on July 16th, you're joining a spiritual family that includes millions of souls throughout history. You're connecting yourself to a tradition that has produced countless saints and has brought comfort to dying people for over 700 years. I encourage you to make this a family tradition. If you have children, have their scapulars blessed too. Teach them about this beautiful devotion. Help them understand that wearing the scapular means they're under Mary's special protection. In the world full of dangers and temptations, what parent wouldn't want that kind of spiritual armor for their children? July 16th is your opportunity to claim this promise for yourself and your loved ones. Allow this day to pass without taking this step. Unthinkable. The scapular is Mary's gift to you, a mother's way of keeping her children close and safe. Now we come to the third thing you must do on July 16th, and this is the one that most Catholics completely forget. It's the practice that can multiply your blessings beyond imagination. Yet it's the most overlooked aspect of Marian devotion. You must perform an act of charity or penance in honor of Our Lady of Mount Carmel. Most people miss something crucial about true devotion to Mary. Prayer and sacred objects alone aren't enough. Real Marian devotion means imitating her virtues. It means living like she lived. It means showing the same love and compassion that she showed. When you perform acts of charity on her feast day, you're achieving something beautiful. You're not simply honoring her, you're becoming like her. So what does this look like practically? On July 16th, do something concrete out of love for Mary and her son. Visit someone who's sick or lonely. Help someone in financial need. Give generously to a charity. Forgive someone who has hurt you deeply. These aren't merely nice gestures, they're spiritual offerings that Mary takes directly to Jesus. You can also offer small sacrifices or penances, maybe fast from your morning coffee. Give up your favorite TV show for the day. Patiently endure some inconvenience without complaining. As you do this, pray, Our Lady of Mount Carmel, I offer this small sacrifice out of love for you and for the conversion of sinners. Why does Mary treasure these small offerings? Because they show that you're willing to deny yourself out of love. Consider something beautiful about Mary's heart. She can't be outdone in generosity. When you give something up for her, When you help someone in her honor, when you choose love over selfishness, she notices every single gesture. She takes these acts of charity and presents them to Jesus with a mother's special pleading. The graces that flow from these simple acts can be extraordinary. Allow me to share a testimony that illustrates this power. Maria, a single mother from Texas, was struggling to pay her rent and was facing eviction. On July the 16th, despite having almost nothing, she gave her last $20 to a homeless man, offering it to Our Lady of Mount Carmel for the conversion of sinners. That very afternoon, she received an unexpected check in the mail, a tax refund she had forgotten about that covered not just her rent, but 3 months ahead. Coincidence? Those who understand Mary's heart know better. The beauty of this practice is that it connects your devotion to real life. It moves your faith from your heart to your hands. It transforms you from someone who simply prays to Mary into someone who actually lives like Mary. That transformation is what opens the floodgates of heaven's blessings. Remember, Mary herself lived a life of constant charity. She rushed to help her cousin Elizabeth when she was pregnant. She noticed the embarrassment of the wedding couple in Cana and quietly intervened. She stood by her son, even in his darkest hour. When you perform acts of charity on her feast day, you're following in her footsteps. This July 16th, step beyond being a passive recipient of Mary's blessings. Be an active participant in her mission of love. Look around you. Who needs help? Who needs forgiveness? Who needs a kind word or a generous gesture? Let Mary work through your hands, your voice, your heart. The world is watching how Catholics live. When you perform acts of charity in Mary's honor, you're showing the world what it means to be a child of the Mother of God. You're proving that faith transcends what you believe. It's about how you love. Before we conclude, I want to share something that can multiply all these blessings exponentially, praying the Rosary as a family on July 16th. If you can gather your loved ones together for this prayer, you'll be creating a spiritual powerhouse that can transform your entire household. Our Lady of Mount Carmel has a special love for families. She understands the struggles that parents face, the worries about children, the challenges of keeping faith alive in a secular world. When families pray together on her feast day, she responds with maternal tenderness that can heal relationships, protect homes, and draw even the most resistant family members closer to God. Think about how to make this powerful. Gather everyone you can, spouse, children, grandparents, even reluctant teenagers. If some family members live far away, connect by phone or video call. Begin by asking Our Lady of Mount Carmel to cover every person in your family with her protective mantle. As you pray each decade, offer specific intentions for family members who need healing, conversion, or protection. Worried about your family rosary being perfect? Children might fidget. Teenagers might seem distracted. Someone might get called away by work. Mary doesn't expect perfection. She expects love. She sees your effort to bring your family together in prayer, and she blesses that effort in ways you might never fully realize. Make this prayer specific to July 16th by adding this intention: Our Lady of Mount Carmel, we consecrate our family to your immaculate heart. Protect our home from all evil, guide our decisions, and help us to live as a holy family, just as you lived with Jesus and Joseph. When you pray this with living faith, knowing that Mary promised her special protection to those who honor her, you're creating a spiritual fortress around your family. Many families have discovered that praying the Rosary together on Marian feast days creates a spiritual momentum that lasts throughout the year. Children who might resist prayer at other times often find themselves drawn into the beauty and peace of these special moments. Marriages that are struggling often find new strength and unity when couples pray together on these sacred days. Remember, The family that prays together stays together, but the family that prays the rosary together on Our Lady's feast days experiences protection and blessings that go far beyond human understanding. This July 16th, step beyond praying for your family, pray with your family, and watch how Mary's maternal love transforms your home into a little sanctuary. My dear friends, let's bring together everything we've discovered about this powerful day. July the 16th transcends being just another date on the calendar. It's your personal invitation to experience heaven's extraordinary generosity through the maternal heart of Our Lady of Mount Carmel. We've explored 3 essential practices: attending Holy Mass and receiving communion in Mary's honor, having your scapula blessed or renewed, and performing concrete acts of charity and penance. These aren't complicated requirements. They're simple, beautiful ways to open your heart to graces that could change everything about your spiritual life. When you attend Mass on July 16th, you're stepping beyond fulfilling an obligation. You're positioning yourself to receive Jesus through Mary's hands on her special day. When you wear or renew your scapula, you're claiming heaven's promise of protection and salvation. When you perform acts of charity, you're showing Mary that your devotion extends beyond words. It's a way of life. Consider what ties it all together. Our Lady of Mount Carmel made specific promises to those who honor her. She promised that whoever dies wearing her scapula shall not suffer eternal fire. She promised, through the Sabbatine privilege, to come personally to free her devoted children from purgatory as soon as possible. These aren't simply beautiful traditions. These are guarantees from the Mother of God herself. Think about what this means for your eternal destiny. In a world full of uncertainty, where we can't even be sure what tomorrow will bring, you have the opportunity to secure supernatural protection that extends beyond this life into eternity. You have the chance to ensure that when your time on earth is finished, you won't face that final moment alone. You'll have the Mother of God herself as your advocate and guide. The 3 practices we've explored work together like a spiritual symphony. The Mass unites you to Jesus. The scapula marks you as Mary's child. Acts of charity prove that your faith is real and living. When you combine all 3 on July 16th, you're activating more than observing a feast day. You're activating a divine protection system that has been tested by millions of Catholics throughout history. Saint Teresa of Jesus, who lived under Mary's protection her entire life, once said, "Let nothing disturb you, let nothing frighten you. All things pass away, God never changes." When you live under the mantle of Our Lady of Mount Carmel, you can face the future with that same confidence. No matter what storms may come, you're protected by a mother whose love never fails. This July 16th is your moment. Allow it to pass by unnoticed, unthinkable. Embrace these 3 powerful practices and step into the fullness of Mary's maternal protection. Before we close, I want to invite you to be part of something beautiful. In the comments below, tell me which of these 3 practices you're going to do on July 16th. Are you going to attend Mass and receive communion? Will you have your scapula blessed or get one for the first time? What act of charity are you planning to offer to Our Lady? But there's more. Tell me who you want our community to pray for on this special day. Maybe it's a family member who's lost their faith, a friend battling illness, someone struggling with addiction. When we join our prayers together on Our Lady's feast day, we create a spiritual network that can reach into the darkest places and bring light. If this message has touched your heart, I ask you to do 3 things. First, give this video a thumbs up to help it reach more people who need to hear about Our Lady's promises. Second, share it with at least 3 people in your life who could benefit from this devotion. Maybe someone who's going through a difficult time, or someone who's searching for deeper meaning in their faith. Third, you subscribe to our channel and ring that notification bell so you never miss content that can strengthen your spiritual life. Remember, every time you engage with this content, you're helping spread devotion to Our Lady of Mount Carmel to souls around the world. You're participating in Mary's mission to bring all her children closer to Jesus. May Our Lady of Mount Carmel cover you today and always with her blessed scapula. May she protect your family, guide your decisions, and lead you safely to her Son when your earthly journey is complete. May she grant you the grace to live each day worthy of the incredible promises she has made to those who honor her with sincere hearts. Until we meet again, wear your scapula with pride, pray with confidence, and live with the joy of knowing you're under heaven's special protection. Amen.